those ruffians, the gods, shan't have it all their own way. Those gods who never lose a chance of hurting, thwarting, and spoiling human lives are seriously put out if all the same you behave like a lady. Of course, now I think there are no gods, there's no one to blame. It's so very dangerous to live for only one day. I'll buy the flowers myself, Lucy.
Yes, ma'am. And Mrs. Walker said not to forget that Rumpelmayer's men will be here at 11.
I won't forget. What a day, Lucy. What a day for my party. What a lark. What a plunge.
What a plunge.
Good morning to you, Clarissa.
You.
And where are you off to?
To buy flowers for my party. I love walking in London on a day like this. It's better than in the country.
Evelyn wouldn't agree with you there. She can't bear coming out to town. I had to get her to come up. See Wyber. He's put her in a nursing home for a few days.
Nothing serious.
No, nothing serious. She's just a good deal out of sorts. The war may be over, but there's still the echo of it. The Bexborough boy was killed, you know, and she is very close to Lady Bexborough, of course. And Evelyn takes things badly.
Yes. One does still hear dreadful stories.
I must get on. They'll be waiting for this at the palace.
Will you still come to my party tonight?
Oh, yes. Evelyn absolutely insists I go.
You whitbread. I can't forgive you liking him, Clarissa. He's an oaf. Even when he plays tennis, his hair doesn't move. He's a barber's block. An imbecile. He thinks of nothing but his clothes.
I like him.
How can you? He's never read anything, never thought anything, never felt anything. Stable boys have more life in them than Hugh.
Well, Sally says he tried to kiss her in the smoking room.
Oh, she didn't let him.
She said she'd rather die first.
Good for Sally. She sees through all that public school nonsense. All manners and breeding. No country but England could have produced Hugh.
He's sweet and unselfish, and he's very good to his mother.
You're so sentimental, Clarissa.
And you're impossible. what beautiful flowers. They're absolutely wonderful, Sally.
Oh, I thought Sally could be trusted to do the flowers, but that's wicked. To cut off the heads of those flowers, really?
I think they're beautiful. Peter, look at the flowers.
Yes.
All the ladies racing sensations, no new game standard. All the ladies racing sensations, no new game standard.
Roses for the hall, I think. And sweet peas for the table, perhaps. Yes, sweet peas for the table. It will be perfect. Those awful motor cars. Yeah, oh, yes, of course it was a car.
I'm rooted here.
Septimus, please, we must go on.
I'm rooted here. And I don't know for what purpose.
Septimus, please, people are looking at us.
Am I blocking the way? All right, then.
Goodbye, Mrs. Dalloway.
Mrs. Dalloway, Mrs. Dalloway. I'm not even Clarissa anymore. No more marrying, no more having children, just Mrs. Dalloway. Mrs. Richard Dalloway, who's to give a party.
You'll marry a prime minister and stand at the top of the staircase. You'll give parties. You'll be the perfect hostess. You have the makings of a perfect hostess. You could do so much. Be so much.
What you want me to be. Life seems to me to be very dangerous.
But one must live life dangerously. Oh.
Look, Septimus.
There is no crime. There is no death. The birds, they sing it in Greek. yourself. Get yourself.
Septimus, I'm going to walk to the lake and back.
Primo. It says Primo.
So invigorating.
I do agree. The bushes, the flowers, so well kept. Yes, this is a wonderful garden. Beautiful.
You should see the Milan gardens.
What a strange person.
She's a foreigner.
Oh, that explains.
Make it known. Make it known. That there is a God. No one kills from hatred. Evans! For God's sake, don't come.
J O F F A A.
It says toffee.
Oh no, it's toffee.
Look, Lucy. It said Cremo Toffee.
There was a telephone message, ma'am. Mr. Dalloway said to tell you he would not be home for lunch. He would be lunching at Lady Bruton's.
Oh, dear. Lady Bruton. Wow.
Clarissa, my darling, Parliament sits so late and the doctor said you must get your rest. You must sleep undisturbed.
Fear no more the heat of the sun, nor the furious winter's rages. It's all over for me. The sheet stretched and the bed narrow.
What we need to do is abolish private property, because that really is what causes all the problems. Let's write a letter to the Times about it. Then we should found a society to abolish private property and do away with it forever and ever.
This house as well.
You always look so virginal, Clarissa.
I am virginal.
Are you in love with Peter?
Oh, love. I don't know.
But you love me. Damn and blast, I left my sponge in the bathroom. Dare me to go and get it. Like this. You wouldn't. I would.
Is it all over for me? I've come up to the tower and left them all blackberrying in the sun.
Don't run, Clarissa. Young ladies don't run.
No, Leipzig is good, but I think Heidelberg is beautiful, especially this time of year. The it reminds me very much of the formality of the gardens. You really are most fortunate the way your gardens are done, and you have many trees, the colors, and the way it's all been orchestrated. It's tremendously fine. I think this is a great achievement of the English garden.
Love in her sunny eyes does basking play. Love walks the pleasant mazes of her hair.
Love does both on her lips forever stray, and sows and reaps 1,000 kisses there.
In all her outward parts, love's always seen. But oh, he never went within. Clarissa!
What? The men lead such exciting lives, but their poor wives don't seem to do so well.
Marriage is a catastrophe for women.
But it is inevitable, isn't it? Sally, will we always be together?
Always. Always. We'll do everything together. We'll change the world. Come on.
Oh, Lucy. Oh, the silver does look nice.
The doors are off the hinges in the dining room, ma'am, and Rumpelmayer's men will be here soon. Can I help you with that, ma'am?
No, Lucy. You've got enough to do.
Stargazing, are we?
Yes. Come on, Joseph. You know the stars. You can tell us which are which.
You see that star just above the horizon?
Yes.
That's Antares, heart of the Scorpio constellation. His name means rifle of Mars.
And that one?
Past Libra, we have Alpha, Virgo's bright star. And see how Altair, the brightest star of Aquila the Eagle, shines in the east for us tonight.
Miss Kilman and I are going out. Is there anything we can get for you, Mother?
Where are you going, Elizabeth, dear?
Miss Kilman is taking me to meet the Reverend Whittaker.
The Reverend Whittaker? Oh, yes. Wasn't he very instrumental in your conversion, Miss Kilman?
Yes. He helped bring me to our Lord.
And is today's visit part of the history lesson?
The Reverend Whittaker is also an historian, Mother.
He can put history and religion in their proper perspective.
I wonder what that is. I've never wanted to convert anyone, I hope. I just want everyone to be themselves. I've often thought that religious fanaticism can make a person rather callous.
Mother, we're just going to talk to him.
You won't forget about my party tonight, Elizabeth.
I was going to help Miss Kilman sort the clothes for the mission.
Well, I dare say Miss Kilman could spare you for one evening.
I'll see, Mother. We must go or we'll be late.
It all seems useless. Going on being in love, going on quarreling, going on making up.
But, Peter, you want so much from me. You leave me nothing to myself. You want every little bit of me.
Well, I do. I want us to be everything to each other.
But that sounds so suffocating.
God! God! God!
Peter Walsh.
Clarissa.
Peter. But you're in India.
No. No, didn't you get my last letter? I said I'd be here in June.
No. Your last letter said that you might be back, but I never suspected it.
Ah.
It's extraordinary how Peter can put me in this state just by coming here. He looks awfully well. It's heavenly to see you again, Peter.
I arrived last night.
Playing with his knife.
How is everything? How are you?
So like him.
How's Richard?
Oh, Richard's with some committee or other. Something to do with his constituency.
What's this? What's all this here?
I'm mending my dress. It's for my party tonight, which I shan't invite you to, my dear Peter.
Why? Why won't you ask me?
It is extraordinary that you've shown up this morning. I've been thinking about Borden all day.
I heard about your father. I should have written to you, of course. Though I never really got on with him.
But he never liked anyone who...
Who wanted to marry you?
Herbert has Borden now. I never go there. And what happened to you?
Millions of things. Shall I tell you? Shall I make a clean breast of it? I'm in love. I'm in love with a girl in India.
And who is she? A younger woman, of course.
Well, I'm not old, you know. My life isn't over, not by any means. Though you, of course, think me a failure, which I suppose I am compared to all this.
But who is she? Tell me.
A married woman, unfortunately. She's the wife of a major in the Indian Army. She has 2 young children, a boy and a girl, and it's a bit of a mess. And I'm here to see the lawyers about a divorce. She's called Daisy.
Yes? Yes. But what shall you do?
Oh, the lawyers and solicitors, they're going to do it.
For heaven's sake, leave that knife alone.
I know what I'm up against. I know what I'm up against.
Well, it's all up. Here am I behaving like a fool, weeping, being emotional. I've probably annoyed you at turning up at this hour, and I've told you everything as usual. Are you happy, Clarissa? Does Richard...
Excuse me, ma'am. The gentlemen are here from Rumpelmayer's.
Oh, thank you, Lucy.
Goodbye, Clarissa.
I'm party tonight. Please come to my party tonight.
Come on, let's get out of this.
I want to do another.
Come on. Is this what you want? To stay here and go to parties?
But I like parties.
Clarissa. You always tie me up with your Queen's Gambit, Brightcop.
It's my turn to shuffle, Herbert.
Hmm.
Hugh, do you ever stop eating?
Did you know Wingate had married again?
Yes, they came to call last week.
The woman used to be his housemaid.
He had a nerve. Bringing a housemaid to call.
Yes. She was absurdly overdressed. She looked like a cockatoo. And she never stopped talking.
She probably thought you all knew.
Knew what?
That she had a baby before she was married.
Oh. I don't think I shall ever be able to speak to her again.
Don't be ridiculous, Clarissa.
If this is true,
We shall certainly not receive her again.
I should think not. If you start receiving women like that, you don't know where it'll end.
Oh, you snob. You represent all that's detestable in British middle-class life. It's men like you who are responsible for prostitutes around Piccadilly.
Me?
Yes. Men like you.
That's enough, Sally. We'll have no more of this conversation.
I'm glad I walked out. They're all such snobs, and Hugh is a fraud.
Clarissa is so prudish and arrogant.
Not really. It's just what she's been brought up to.
I wish she would see things more clearly.
Clearly enough to marry you, you mean?
This is Mr. Wickham, Peter.
My name is Dalloway. Richard Dalloway.
But I've introduced you to everyone as Mr. Wickham.
It's still Dalloway. My name is Dalloway.
Dalloway. So you're definitely going to go into politics?
Oh, yes, I think so. I think so. With your friend, Mr.
My name's Dalloway. What's the matter?
Somebody's just walked over my grave.
I think I got you confused with another family friend of ours.
She's going to marry that man.
I went under the sea. I have been dead. But now I'm alive. Oh, I must rest, Sil. Rest.
Septimus, I'm going to ask someone the time. I think we have to go now.
There's nowhere to go. Nowhere to hide.
Septimus, you know we are going to see a doctor who will help you.
No more doctors! No more lies!
Septimus, please.
Alfie. Thank you.
Evans? Evans! For God's sake, don't come!
Septimus, it isn't Evans, all right? It isn't Evans. There's nothing to worry about. The man is not Evans. Really, he isn't. Come on. Let's go for a walk. It's a nice day.
Talk to you later.
Clarissa, it's such a lovely evening. Let's go to the lake.
Oh, yes, we could go boating. Let's get our shawls. It might be a little bit cold. Peter, we're going boating on the lake. Aren't you coming?
Oh, aren't we being the perfect hostess?
Oh, don't come then if you're going to be beastly rude.
Dalloway. It's still Dalloway.
Roll on the glorious 12.
Come on. They're all waiting.
Away, lads, away, down to Rio, and I'll sing you a song of the fish of the sea, as we're bound for the Rio Grande. Away, lads, away, down to Rio, and I'll sing you a song of the fish of the sea, as we're bound for the Rio Grande.
Way down Rio, I'll sing you a song of the fish in the sea. We're bound for the Rio Grande.
Softly come and go, sad the day and lonely.
Poor old woman.
Sad our hearts and long.
Oh, Septimus, you won't tell the doctor, will you? You mustn't. They would take you away from me.
Love's old sweet song.
Now, I've looked at Dr. Holmes's notes, and he's been seeing your husband for some 6 weeks.
Yes. He is our landlady's doctor. She sent for him because I told her I was worried about Septimus.
He threatened to kill himself.
He didn't mean it.
No, of course not. And Dr. Holmes prescribed bromide?
Yes. He said that there was nothing really wrong. But Septimus keeps talking to the dead man, Evans, his friend who was killed in the war. But the war has been over for years now. And Septimus wasn't like this when I met him. It's happened in just the last few months. He says people are talking behind bedroom walls, and he saw a woman's head in the middle of a fern. He says he's on trial for some terrible crime, but of course he's done nothing. And then he seems to forget it all and seems happy again as he used to be. We went to Hampton Court on top of a bus the other day, and all the red and yellow flowers were out, and he said they looked like floating lamps. And he was funny as he used to be, and he made me laugh, and I was so happy. And then suddenly, as we were standing by the river, he said, "We will kill ourselves." Then he held my hand and said he was falling into the flames, and he cried and cried.
Mrs. Warren Smith, your husband is very seriously ill. From everything you've told me and from Dr. Holmes's report, I believe that he's suffering from delayed shell shock.
He's not mad, is he?
Oh, I never use that word. I prefer to say lacking a sense of proportion.
But Dr. Holmes said that there was nothing whatsoever the matter.
Your husband needs rest. complete rest.
But not away from me.
My dear Mrs. Warren Smith, sometimes we have to separate such people from their loved ones for their own good.
Ah, Dalloway. I met Clarissa this morning. So, she's giving another of her famous parties tonight.
Right as usual, Hugh. The Lady Bruton summoned you as well. I wonder what she wants from us.
Nothing we can't accomplish over a good lunch, I'm sure. Ah, good day, Miss Brush. How is your brother in South Africa?
I've got you here under false pretenses. I actually need your help. But we'll have lunch first. And how is Clarissa?
Oh, she's quite well recovered, thank you. The doctor told her that she must take things easy, but she does so want to give her party tonight, where I trust we shall have the pleasure of your company.
Of course. Richard, I wouldn't miss one of your parties.
I met Clarissa in the park this morning. She was wearing a yellow feather hat.
Oh, yes. I like that hat.
Will you come in now, please? Good. Do sit down. I see that you served with great distinction in the war, Mr. Warren Smith.
The war? The European War. That little shindy of schoolboys with gunpowder. Did I serve with distinction? I've forgotten. In the war itself, I failed.
No, he served with the greatest distinction. He was promoted.
I have committed a crime.
He has done nothing wrong whatever.
What did Dr. Holmes advise you to do?
Well, my wife, he said, should make me porridge. Headaches, dreams, fears are just nerves. Health is largely a matter of our own control. I should take up some hobby. Dr. Holmes throws himself into outside interests. He throws himself. He is able to switch off from his patients onto old furniture.
Dr. Holmes is interested in antique furniture.
Oh, yes, of course.
So when the damn fool came again, I refused to see him. Repulsive brute. Blood-red nostrils. So once you stumble, human nature is on you. Holmes is on you. Now, our only chance is to escape without letting Holmes know. Anywhere away from Dr. Holmes. There's no excuse. Nothing whatever's the matter. Except the sin for which human nature has condemned me to death. I cannot feel. I did not care when Evans was killed. That was the worst. But all the other crimes raise their heads, shake their fingers. They jeer, they sneer at me. Now, the verdict of human nature on such a beast is death.
We all have our moments of depression. He has impulses sometimes.
That is my own affair.
No, there you are mistaken, sir. We are all responsible one for another.
Well, I am responsible for Dr. Holmes. Another humbug.
We have been arranging that you should go into a home.
One of Holmes's homes?
No, one of my homes, Mr. Warren Smith. And there we will teach you to rest and to regain a sense of proportion.
But I've confessed. I confessed my crimes. Why won't you let me off?
He has done nothing. Nothing.
He will be perfectly looked after. I will visit once a week.
But my husband does not like doctors. He will refuse to go.
Your husband has threatened to kill himself. There is no alternative. It is a question of the law. It's a very beautiful home in the country. The nurses are admirable. Now, if you have no further questions to ask, I will arrange everything with Dr. Holmes. He will send somebody round this evening between 5 and 6. It's the law, Mrs. Warren Smith, and it is for the best.
It won't be Dr. Holmes who comes, will it?
Trust everything to me.
I do not like that man.
It's a humbug. You're deserted.
Do you know who's in town? Our old friend Peter Walsh. Back from India.
Peter Walsh back?
In trouble with some woman, evidently. Some woman in India.
Pete Walsh was always in trouble of some sort.
Didn't he marry someone on the boat going out?
Oh, I don't believe that lasted long. I imagine it was on what I believe is known as the rebound.
I suppose he'll try to settle here now. I must say it'll be difficult to help him. He'll be quite a misfit.
Well, I'm sure Clarissa will know that he's here. And I've no doubt he'll be at her party tonight and all will be revealed.
Oh, yes. If Peter Walsh is in town, Clarissa will know.
Right coffee. I think we're both of us, Are you tying that in, right?
Come on, Peter. We'll race you to the top.
Oh, it's sad.
Well, my idea is this. We all agree, do we not, that Britain is overpopulated?
Yes, indeed.
And you agree that many of these men back from the war are finding it difficult to find employment. Indeed, in some cases, their work has been commandeered by women. However, we all know that the rot has set in there.
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, my idea is a simple one. But all the best ideas are simple, as we know. My project is to encourage, by making it financially easy, young people of both sexes to emigrate to Canada. They would be set up with a fair chance of doing well in Canada, and Britain would gain financially in the long run. There is only so much that I can do, being a woman. But, Richard, I ask you to make this suggestion in the House. And, Hugh, I want you to help me start the ball rolling with a letter to the Times. I know, my dear Hugh, that you will know exactly how to phrase it for me.
I think someone's already tabled a motion to get some kind of immigration plan going, but I suppose a letter to the Times will do no harm.
I'd take it further. Make emigration obligatory if you couldn't get work after a certain period of time.
I wouldn't go that far. These things are never quite that simple.
There's a new chef at the Cafe Royal. Does marvellous things with mullet.
You'll just have time to catch the 3 o'clock post, Mildred. I think we can safely say that was a job well done. I shall take my rest now.
It is delightful. I wonder if Peter Walsh has got in touch with Clarissa.
I think I might buy something for Evelyn. She's very low. And jewellery never loses its price.
I think I'll buy Clarissa some flowers. Yes, I'll pop in to see her on my way back to the house with some flowers.
They were meant to be red.
I know.
No red ones left.
Richard. Oh, red roses. Oh, I'll put them somewhere very special. How was luncheon? Amusing?
He was there. He really is getting quite intolerable. She wanted him to write a letter to the Times. One of her schemes for putting the world in order. What's all this?
Oh, Richard, you can't have forgotten it's for my party. And now it will all be spoilt.
Come here. Let's sit down for 5 minutes. Why will it all be spoiled?
Mrs. Marsham has just sent me this note to say that she's quite sure I wouldn't mind. She's invited Ellie Henderson.
What's so dreadful about that?
Richard, she's one of the dullest women in the world. She'll bore everyone. And then Elizabeth said that she isn't coming to the party tonight, and she's gone off to pray with that dreadful Miss Kilman.
You worry too much about your parties, Clarissa.
But Richard, it's all that I can do. Give people one night in which everything seems enchanted. When all the women seem beautiful, all the men are handsome, and everyone's made to feel they're amusing and... yes, liked. And then go home thinking, oh, what fun it was. Oh, what a wonderful evening. How good it is to be alive.
I don't think poor old Ellie Henderson could put a stop to that.
You're laughing at me.
Not in the least.
Oh, Richard, you're so much nicer than I am. You should never have married me.
Well, then what would you have done?
Married Peter Walsh, I suppose. Would you believe that he was here this morning?
Yes. Millie Bruton told me he was in town.
He's in love with some woman in India. He's here to see about the divorce. It's just the same. He hasn't changed the slightest.
Your selection of cakes, sir.
Thank you.
Tea for two.
Did you understand what the Reverend Whittaker was saying this morning about knowledge coming before suffering?
Not really, no. But then, I suppose I haven't really suffered yet.
Maybe you never will. Oh, not that I would wish that on anyone. But, as he says, real knowledge is only gained through suffering.
What was it you wanted to buy here?
A petticoat. Mine is in threads. I've held on to it as long as I could.
They have some pretty striped ones.
Oh, couldn't possibly afford the striped ones.
I might have to go to the party tonight. I'd forgotten all about it when I said I'd help at the mission. Mummy will be upset if I don't go.
It's a great pity that women like your mother have nothing better to do with their time than give parties. Oh, I know it's not her fault. Women like your mother can't help it. They've been spoilt.
She likes giving parties.
I never go to parties. Why should they ask me? I'm plain. I'm unhappy. But I don't pity myself. I pity other people more.
Your bill, madam. You finish your tea. I'll pay this at the desk. I'll help another night at the mission. I'm sorry. I have to go.
Who are you making that hat for?
Mrs. Filmer's married daughter.
And what's the name of Mrs. Filmer's married daughter?
Mrs. Peters. I don't like her, but Mrs. Filmer has been so good to us. I wanted to do something for her.
That's too small for Mrs. Peters. She's enormous. That's an organ grinder's monkey's hat.
There.
Well, now the poor woman will look like a pig at the fair. Now, come on, let's see what you've got in your workbox. She shall have a beautiful hat. There. Now, stitch that together very, very carefully.
Evans?
I shall be too busy looking after Septimus. It will take all my time. We thank you for the paper.
Evans?
It was only the evening paper. Mrs. Filmer with the evening paper.
Ah. They're coming to take me away, Rezia.
Sir William Bradshaw said that you must learn to rest, Septimus.
It's must. Must. Why must? What right has he got to say must to me?
It is because you talked of killing yourself.
So... I'm in their power. Where are my writings, Rezia? Burn them.
Some are very beautiful. I'm going with you, Septimus. We can't separate us against our will.
You're a flowering tree. You're a sanctuary. You fear no more. Not Holmes, not Bradshaw. You've triumphed.
I'm going to pack our things, Septimus. I shall tie these with silk and hide them away.
Good afternoon, Dr. Evans.
They've sent Holmes. I won't let him come in here.
Alone, I beg you.
Mr. Warren Smith. You want my life? I'll give it to you. The coward. Why the devil did he do it?
One of the triumphs of modern civilization. Good afternoon.
Number 12, please. Thank you.
And this came for you, Mr. Walsh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Peter, it was heavenly to see you. I must tell you that. Clarissa.
We could play tennis.
No, it's too hot and sultry for tennis. Besides, we'd need a fourth person to play doubles. And Hugh's gone to visit his mother. And Herbert won't play.
Maybe. My name is Dalloway. Will turn up.
In his perfect whites, matching his perfect teeth. My name is Dalloway.
I think we've had enough of that feeble joke.
She can't be serious about him.
I'm gonna have this out. You've come to an understanding with Dalloway, haven't you? Haven't you?
It's so difficult, Peter.
Just tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth.
He makes me feel safe.
Safe? Is that what you want?
You want so much of me, Peter. I just can't do it. Throw everything away and go across the world with you. I'm just not brave in that way. And Richard...
And Richard will pamper you and keep you in a perfectly beautiful, safe prison, filled with flowers and stuffed with elegant antique furniture. He'll make all the decisions for you, and you'll never have to think again.
You demand so much from me.
Because I love you, for God's sake.
Richard will leave me room. Room to breathe.
Clarissa, he's a fool. An unimaginative, dull fool.
You want too much of me, Peter. I can't give it.
So it's no use. This is the end.
I'm sorry, Peter.
Clarissa! Clarissa! Clarissa!
Lord Lexham. Lord Lexham.
How delightful to see you.
I'm so sorry, but my dear wife has a cold.
Oh, dear.
She simply would not wear her furs to the garden party at Buck House, and it was bitterly cold. Richard.
Oh, dear, it's going to be a failure, a complete failure.
How delightful of you to come.
Lovely to see you.
We're delighted to see you.
Glad you could come, Reggie.
Why do I do it?
How lovely of you to come.
It was nice of you to invite me.
Mr. Peter Walsh.
Peter, you came. How delightful to see you.
Peter, back from India, eh?
Yes, back from India.
Must be years since we've seen you.
Oh, it was a mistake to invite him. He'll know no one. He's sorry he's come.
How nice.
And he's criticizing me. I know he is. Accusing me of being insincere. Why do I do these things? Why seek pinnacles and stand drenched in fire? I feel burned to a cinder.
Miss Henderson.
Better that than to dwindle away like Ellie Henderson.
Ellie, I'm so glad you've come.
It's so grand.
Oh, dear. Why can't she at least stand up properly? Well, I suppose it's her weaponless state.
Wonderful to see you again.
Richard, how lovely.
Their Graces, the Duke and Duchess of Marlborough.
A duke?
Oh, why did the Marlboroughs have to follow Ellie Henderson?
Clarissa.
They must wonder what kind of people I invite to my parties.
Clarissa, how lovely to see you.
Oh,
Thank you so much for inviting us.
How lovely of you to come.
It's a disaster. The party's a disaster. I'm humiliated. And now there's Peter wandering off. I'm speak to him, but I won't get the chance. I know it. Life's like that. He thinks I'm absurd. Oh, it's too much of an effort. I'm not enjoying it at all. I feel like a stake driven in at the top of these stairs.
Delighted to see you.
Good to see you, Colonel.
Mr. Hugh Whitbread.
How did you find Evelyn today?
Oh, bearing up, bearing up.
I shall visit her tomorrow. I do hope she hasn't read Lady Asquith's memoirs.
Oh, I doubt it. Not Evelyn. She's not a great reader.
Lady Bruton.
Lady Bruton, so she came.
My dear Clarissa.
Maybe she doesn't dislike me as much as I thought she did.
Mr. Bonnet.
The essential condition for a study of Milton, an in-depth study of Milton. Oh, a momentary sensation of an embrace.
Oh, it's not a failure after all. It's going to be all right. Oh, it's still touch and go, but it's begun. My party has begun.
Lady Rossiter.
Lady Rossiter? Who on earth can that be?
Clarissa! Sally?
That voice.
Sally Seaton.
Goodness, she didn't look like that when she kissed me by the fountain.
Oh, how wonderful to see you.
It's extraordinary to see her again. She's older, she's happier, but less lovely. But, oh, how wonderful that she's come to my party.
Here in front of me was your Aunt Helena.
Oh, Sally, I've been thinking about Borden all day.
Oh, have you? Have you?
The Prime Minister.
Wonderful. Oh, my goodness, Sally, I must go. Where's Richard?
Sorry, Ellie. Duty calls.
Oh, how delightful to see you.
Very sweet of you. Unfortunately, my wife couldn't come because of
Clarissa is looking well, considering how ill she's been. I know that Richard was very worried about her.
MPs' wives really shouldn't get ill.
I believe it was her heart.
I think you can always pull yourself together. Mind over matter.
Harry Audley, you know, don't you? You painted your wife that lovely picture they're going to hang it on.
Are they? Oh, that's wonderful.
Jim Hudson.
Peter!
Prime Minister, do you know Lord and Lady Ashton?
Peter Walsh!
Violet, let me get you.
Lord! Sally Seton?
Lady Rossiter now.
Don't be absurd.
It's true. Lady Rossiter. We live in Manchester, and I have 5 enormous boys.
Either my eyes are deceiving me, which I doubt, or that's Ellie Hanson. It's our old vicar's daughter. She's gaping at the Prime Minister. Oh, do bring her over before she disgraces herself and faints with astonishment.
Lord Lexington. Prime Minister, how nice to see you.
What would you like? Some nice free
She's always looked delicate to me, but such charm.
Richard would have done a great deal better if he'd married a woman with less charm and more backbone. Would have helped him in his work. He's lost his chance in the cabinet.
Lady Hello. And Lady Beth.
Lord, what snobs the English are. How they love dressing up and doing homage. Listen to them.
We keep her there during the summer.
Rather hear baboons chatter and coolies beat their wives.
Still the same old Peter. Still playing with your pocket knife.
Oh, that's delicious.
It is delicious, isn't it?
We're not all the same, Peter. My husband may have his own cotton mill now, but he was a miner's son. And when he...
Oh, you're too kind, Prime Minister.
Oh, look. Look. Isn't that Hugh Whitbread?
What a toady. What an obsequious toady. He's not changed at all. How can she bear him?
It still makes you angry.
Look at her. Intoxicated by it all, thinking she's brilliant.
Don't be too hard on her. After all, parties are a kind of performance. She has to give a performance. It isn't the real Clarissa.
No, the real Clarissa was lost years ago.
Prime Minister, can I introduce our daughter?
I'm sure if you were alone with her, you'd find the old Clarissa again.
Fat chance of that this evening.
Richard so enjoyed your luncheon party.
Oh, Richard was most encouraging and has promised to drop my little idea into the right ear.
He and the Prime Minister are having a quiet word now, before he leaves.
My plan would save the government a fortune. Maybe Richard is sowing the seeds this very minute. Isn't that Peter Walsh talking to old Miss Parry?
Yes, that's Peter.
Dear Peter, so very sharp and clever. Should have made a name for himself. But he was always in some trouble with women.
Do come and say hello to him.
Now, Peter, we can get it straight from the horse's mouth. What is going on in India?
Well, a great deal. Lady Bruton is a very complex issue.
It's a tragedy. If my father, the general, were alive, he'd sort them out. Hey, Miss Parry.
Clarissa, I must speak with you, please.
Peter, I must go and deal with Sir William and Lady Bradshaw. We'll talk later, I promise.
You should see the orchids in bloom. Ravishing.
Awfully good of you to come.
We are shockingly late, dear Mrs. Dalloway. We hardly dared to come in.
We couldn't resist the temptation. But a rather sad occurrence held us up. A young patient of mine killed himself. Really, Richard, there must be some provision in the government's bill for these cases of delayed shell shock.
Yes, poor young man. Awarded for bravery during the war, and then this evening he just throws himself out of the window, impaled on the railings. It's quite upset, William.
She looks like a sea lion, barking at me.
Dear William. He does so hate losing a
When
patient.
a young man's body is blown apart, he loses an arm or a leg or half a face, as we've seen so often. It's immediate.
Stop it.
We know
Stop it.
exactly
Don't talk of death in the middle of my party. I don't like you. I've never liked you.
You're obscurely evil.
And the poor creature will either survive or he won't, but we all know about it. We do our best for him.
A young man came to you on the edge of insanity, and you forced his soul, made his life intolerable, and he killed himself.
Stuck there with mumps. It's frightful. Every single mump that's actually seen here this evening was there in the sand with the dame. The dame is going mad. She blames heavy on them, and I do have to do all they think because can't be helped. Pressure. And there they all are. The dame is in despair. And all mums.
If you'll excuse me, Lady Bradshaw.
Minister, I know perfectly well what his answer would be.
Lady Bradshaw, I have to.
The problem is that politicians are not really very interested in shell shock.
No, this is it. This is exactly it.
Hello, Henry. Eleanor. Delightful to see you. I see that Sir William Bradshaw has just arrived. Now, I think it would be most useful to bring him in on your immigration scheme. I know he's treating many of these fellows for shell shock or whatever. I'm sure he'd think it a good idea to get some of them to Canada. The open-air life and all that. Excellent for mental disturbance.
What a good idea, Hugh.
She's disappeared. Do you think she went upstairs? She can't have gone to bed, can she?
No, no. She couldn't leave her own party.
Well, I don't know. I didn't know she'd been ill.
Stop worrying, Peter.
He threw himself out of the window and impaled himself on the railings. Up flashed the ground, and through him, blundering and bruising, went the rusty spikes, and there he lay with a thud, thud, thud in his brain, and then a suffocation of blackness. Why did he do it? And why did the Bradshaws talk of it at my party? He's thrown it all away. His life. Just like that. I once threw a shilling into the Serpentine. But he's thrown his life away.
You were going to write, I remember. Have you written anything?
Not a word. Not a solitary word.
But then he will always stay young. All day long, I've been thinking of Borton, of Peter and Sally. We've grown old. We'll grow older. Have I lost the thing that mattered? Let it get obscured gradually, every day in corruption, lies, and chatter.
Do you remember the night we went boating on the lake?
Yes, I remember thinking she's abandoned me. And then, all of a sudden, she was there with her hand stretched out, looking utterly beautiful, saying, "Come on, come on. They're all waiting." Why wouldn't she marry me, Sally?
She was afraid.
Your parents just handed to you life to be lived right through to the end. We must walk it serenely, But in the depths of my heart, there's been an awful fear sometimes that I couldn't go on. Without Richard sitting there calmly reading the Times, while I crouched like a bird and gradually revived, I might have perished.
I looked across the room and wondered, who's that lovely girl? And then I realized, that's my daughter.
Maybe she needed someone who found life simple. She certainly cared for you, more than she cared for Richard.
Well, my life isn't simple. My relationship with her wasn't simple. She broke my heart. And you can't love like that twice.
What makes us go on? What sends roaring up in us that immeasurable delight to surprise us? Then nothing can be slow enough. Nothing lasts too long. And you want to say to each moment, stay, stay, stay.
I cherish the friendship I had with Clarissa. There was something pure about her. She had such charm, such generosity. I can see her to this day, going about the house all in white. She always seemed to be in white, and her arms were full of flowers. And I wondered, does absence really matter? Does distance? You'll think me sentimental, and so I am. But I've come to believe that the only thing worth saying is what you really feel.
But I don't know what I feel. I know that I loved her once, and that it stayed with me all my life and colored everything.
I must go back to my party, to Sally and Peter. That young man killed himself, but I don't pity him. I'm somehow glad he could do it, throw it away. It's made me feel the beauty, somehow feel very like him, less afraid.
I have to go.
Do you think he's made her happy?
Who can tell, Peter? All our relationships are just scratches on the surface. We thought he wasn't very bright, but what does the brain matter?
Compared to the heart. There you are.
Peter and Sally haven't left, have they?
Don't know.
Clarissa! Oh. I couldn't leave without saying goodbye.
But you can't leave until you've danced with me.
Peter's in the library.
Here I am at last.